Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video.
Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That Brandon. So, in today's video, to celebrate Celebrity Traitors being announced and that potentially being a thing soon, I thought what I would do is review every single one of the contestants from the Traitors UK Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, and then rank them from my favourite contestant all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to have to do this video in two parts. So part one is me analysing everybody, basically saying what was good about them, what was bad about them, whatever. And then once I've gone through all of them, put them all in order, and then do it backwards from the person right at the bottom to crawling all the way up to number one. And I will do it because that's the sort of thing I would do. I love lists, I love numbers, names and colours, so that is something that I will absolutely do. So there's obviously a few absolute favourites who will be way near the top, and there's an absolute handful of people that were there but they kind of just floated, didn't really do much, didn't really bring much to the game, and it wouldn't make a difference whether they were there or not. But I don't want to be harsh because obviously everyone brought their part to the game. Like, you know, people that maybe were killed off quite early on actually helped somebody else further on in the game, whereas, you know, someone that could have been quite quiet near the beginning actually then came out of their shell, maybe went from traitor to faithful or faithful to traitor, and, you know, so kind of changed the game a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start screen recording my phone. So 3, 2, 1, now. I'm going to just click on the first photo. So basically from here we're going to just quickly go through each of the contestants in every single series. So I think for Series 1 there was 22 contestants, for Series 2 there was 22 contestants, and then for Series 3 they actually had 25 people. So they had 22, 3 obviously had to leave the train, and then obviously they came back, but it was just the fact that they had those 3 extra people that they were able to play with. So for Series 1, I think what happened was it was a brand new series, no one had seen the show before. I literally thought it was a game of hide and seek and Cluedo, like some sort of mystery murder thing kind of merged together. Very interesting, but yeah, it's nice to see that there's always a connection in the series. So let's just begin with Series 1, so the Traitors UK Series 1. So obviously we have our 3 winners here, so Aaron, Hannah and Meryl. I think Aaron was good. I think he was a likeable character. Young guy, very athletic, so obviously he was good with the challenges. And I guess I think at the beginning he was quite shy to open up or speak up, and he kept getting whoever were the traitors wrong. So then people weren't sure whether he was a traitor or not. And then, you know, he kept having to deflect any sign of, you know, traitorism from himself. You kind of had Hannah, who, again, she was quite good, I think, obviously, hence why she got to the final and won. So she was quite good at detecting people. She was very loud as well, so, you know, sometimes the ones with the loudest voices are the ones that the traitors want to get out. But, you know, maybe they kept her in because she was ranting and being loud about the wrong people. And then I think the unfortunate thing for Meryl is that every single time she had an instinct, she was completely wrong. And when those people started going out and they were faithful after faithful after faithful, she was like, I don't even know how I'm still here. Like, I guess the traitors wanted to keep her in purely because of the fact that she wasn't very good at finding out the traitors. But in terms of the 3 of them, like I said, they were in the first series, they were the first winners, all faithful. So it was nice to see 3 genuinely lovely faithfuls actually win the money. But then obviously it all changed in Series 2. So yeah, and then the other 2 that made the final 5 in Series 1 were Wilfred and Kieran. Again, Wilfred played an absolutely incredible game. I think he, for me, was the standout player from that series. The fact that he kept deflecting and deflecting and deflecting, the fact that he was a traitor, and then in the end it just happened that nice guy ended up being the traitor. And then for Kieran as well, I feel a little bit sorry for him because I think he was one of the first ones who took a step back, because I think this is when Claudia was like, put yourself in the line for who you think's going to win. Furthest to the left is who thinks they're going to win. Furthest to the right don't think they have a chance. And he actually put himself on the far right, which meant that, you know, he was out of the game, but then he came back and then he got asked to be a traitor. So he kind of experienced the whole show. He was in the show, he was out first, he came back, and then he got converted to a traitor. So yeah, I felt a bit sorry for him, but again, he was okay as a traitor, but then yeah, I think he just kind of fizzled through every week. People weren't seeing him as a target or a threat. They were just kind of seeing him as just a bloke that, you know, could be an extra vote to get rid of another faithful. The next three here, so you had Maddie faithful, Andrea faithful, and Amanda traitor. Maddie was hilarious. She was very funny, very talkative, very fast with her words as well. So she just waffled and waffled and waffled, but I think she was so funny. Andrea, again, didn't really see much from her. I guess, you know, she was trying to work people out and she was trying to make connections, but I don't know, it wasn't really working for me from her. And then with Amanda, again, very good traitor, but then all of a sudden, obviously, she got, you know, booted out by Wilfred and the other one. So yeah, she survived, but yeah, she played a good game, but all of a sudden, this is when the traitors went against the traitors, and yeah, Wilfred was the overall winning traitor there. And then you had Faye and Theo, both faithfuls. So for Faye, again, kind of not really there for me. Like, she was getting involved in the round tables and things like that, but she wasn't really getting involved within the challenges, or she was, but just, you know, she wasn't a name that I was like, oh yeah, I know that person, like, she's going to win. And then again, Theo, similar to Aaron, very vocal, you know, very, you know, confident within himself. But yeah, again, I kind of just felt like could have seen more from him. But again, you've got to think, we only see 1 hour in an episode, so there's probably so much that these characters and, you know, these people do behind the scenes, but we just don't see all of their personality. So the next three faithfuls, we had Amos, Alex and Ryan. So for Amos, again, he was one of those ones that from the beginning, he just, you know, him and Kieran thought that they were going to lose, so he was out of the game, and then he came back. Alex, obviously, she was the girlfriend of Tom. Sorry, I said Alex and Hannah, I meant Alex and Tom. So yeah, she was the girlfriend of magician Tom. Again, it was a secret they were trying to, you know, keep throughout the whole game, and then Tom decided to just spill it out at breakfast. Actually, it's his sister or girlfriend or whatever their relationship. I think that's brother. I think they're boyfriend and girlfriend. So yeah, again, I think she was good, and I think he was good. But I think as soon as he just, you know, erupted with that, they all then thought that at least one of them could have been a traitor, because why would you keep that a secret? Why would you not just share? So yeah, it's a bit of a backhanded game plan there, because it kind of ended up putting them out of the game. And then here you had one faithful, Ryan, and then traitor Alyssa. So I think Alyssa was the second traitor to go out of the game. I think she played a good game, and she was the youngest contestant on the traitors in that first series. But yeah, she kind of got taken out by other traitors. I think that's the thing. If you're going to be a traitor, you need to have the balls to be able to take out other traitors before they take you out. Ryan, very quiet, didn't really bring much. So yeah, that was him. And then you had Matt. So he was a faithful. I think he was quite good friends with Tom. And I think Alex and Tom were trying to work out, why don't they just talk to some of the different cast each and then kind of come together with their ideas. But yeah, Matt was really really hot as well. So yeah, shame he went out. And then you had John, Ivan, Imran. I don't remember any of them. Well, I remember Ivan, but I don't remember the other two. And then, yeah, you had Claire, Nikki and Aisha. Again, Aisha, I think she was one of the young ones as well. I think she was the first one out of the game, to be fair. And then, yeah, Nikki and Claire. Again, I think they were just people that could have been good within the game, but you didn't really see much of them. So they kind of didn't really bring much to the game, because they were gone by episode 2 or 3. Then we move on to series 2. So these were your top 3. You had Harry, the winning traitor, faithful Molly, and faithful Jazz. So yeah, Harry, I think, again, he was the outstanding player for this series. The fact that, you know, he was so undetected, and I don't think anybody could have thought he was a traitor. I think he was just so good at being a traitor, yeah, that people just assumed it was just not something he would be able to be. Oh, he's so good at being a faithful, sorry, that people would not have assumed him to have been a traitor. And then you had obviously Molly and Jazz, but unfortunately right at the end they both kind of, you know, had the money taken from them. Molly was really good. She and Harry got on really, really well, and, you know, she kept saying to him, look, I hope you're doing the right thing. I hope you're not, like, you know, taking the mick and you're actually a traitor. And he was like, no, of course not, of course not. Then it turned out he was. I don't know if they've got a friendship anymore. I'm not really sure. Also, there was rumours that they were, you know, in some sort of love affair, but I don't think so. And then the other two that made it to the top 5 were Andrew, who again was a converted traitor, and Evie, who was obviously a faithful. So Andrew, I don't know, it was a bit of a difficult one with him. I don't think he played a great game. again, I think similarly to Kieran, because he was able to go from a faithful and then be converted, it just made him not have any doubts, and he just was able to change his game plan. Whereas for then Evie, faithful the whole way through, people knew she was genuine, but then right at the end, you know, you had some of the others who voted her out because they obviously thought that Harry couldn't be a traitor, so they put their votes towards somebody else instead. And another three of the young ones, so you had Jasmine and Zach, who were both faithfuls. Jasmine, really pretty girl, really lovely, you know, very vocal at the round table. Zach, again, similarly with him, he had so many ideas of who he thought was a traitor, and you know, he was always being vocal, but again, people then put the blame on him, saying actually he's too loud, actually he knows too much, you know, is he actually a traitor? Ross was banished, he was a traitor. Again, I think he was a converted traitor. I'm not too sure if he was actually a traitor from the beginning. I think he got asked to be a traitor. So yeah, Ross played an interesting game. Obviously him and his mum Diane were in, and you know, it was definitely an emotional series, seeing mum go and him stay, but then also for him to then reveal that actually that was his mum. And then here you had Charlotte and Charlie. Charlie, again, wasn't really much in the game from her, but for Charlotte, again, she was a little bit vocal. But yeah, I guess at the round table, there was all sorts of, you know, it potentially could be a traitor, potentially not helping out on tasks, things like that. And I think she was throwing around people's names who were traitors. They were then throwing around her name, and then obviously in the end, people decided to get rid of her. So she didn't actually last that long in the show, to be fair, because obviously the further we scroll, the earlier they went out in the game. So here's another three. So you had Paul, Miles, Diane. So Diane was a faithful, and again, she was obviously murdered in the coffin in one of those games. And then traitors, Paul and Miles, kind of ended up taking each other out because Paul managed to get Miles out, and then I think one of the other traitors kind of was like, actually no, Paul's probably a traitor, so they again went against the traitors. But again, Paul and Miles, both very good players. It's just that they didn't last long enough in the game to actually get through. I think Harry actually took Paul out, so Paul took out Miles and then Harry took out Paul. Again, banishment, Anthony, don't remember it. Tracy, don't remember it. Johnny, I remember he was banished at the round table. I think he was ex-military, so I remember him for that. He was really fit as well. And yeah, again, I think there's a lot of the players just kind of get unlucky when they have, you know, one vote thrown in their direction. People then go, actually, you know what, we're going to jump on that. The traitors then jump on it, and then that person ends up being out, whether they're actually a traitor or not. So yeah, that was a bit of a sad one there. But yeah, like Johnny's, I got over Johnny's one quite quickly because, you know, we still had some other good-looking guys in the show. And then you obviously had Meg, Ash and Brian. So Ash was the first of the traitors to get eliminated. She was okay. I just think she blew her cover too quickly. Brian, didn't really see much of him. Meg, she didn't really do much in the game either. And then obviously your first three that went were Kyra, Sonia, Aubrey. So first three out, didn't really, again, it's not that they didn't bring much to the game. I think, you know, Sonia and Aubrey as older contestants would have been able to work out the traitors quite quickly. So I think that was the tactic of getting them out quickly. Again, for Kyra, I think she was very loud. You know, she came across as very intelligent. And again, I think they saw that as, let's get her out quickly before she actually opens that mouth and says something to expose one of the traitors. So yeah, it was a shame, but I do remember the three of them. I just remember the three of them being out and being like, oh my goodness, both of the older contestants have been eliminated, probably because of their knowledge. And then as of most recently, here are the contestants from Series 3. So you had your two winners here, Jake and Leanne. Again, both faithful. They both trusted each other throughout the whole game, kind of. They kind of run sure about each other, and then they realise, you know, actually, we need to just get through to the end together. I think similarly with Francesca as well, she did make it to the final three, but Leanne and Francesca had a chat about, you know, being a mum and, you know, she's not going to lie to her and she's not going to backstab her and whatever. And as truthful as Francesca was, Leanne just did not believe it. So when they took Francesca out and then realised that she was actually a faithful, it got quite emotional. But that would have been a great three to see win, Jake, Leanne and Francesca, but unfortunately it was just the two of them. But yeah, Jake, Leanne, Francesca, they all played a very good game. They were all faithful, so I think they were all kind of on the same page about working out who the traitors were, but then also at the same time, they probably all had doubts about each other because, again, you don't know if there's a traitor within the group of faithful. Well, there obviously are, but it's just how to work that out. And then you had Alexander, faithful, and you had Charlotte, traitor. So Charlotte was a converted traitor. She's obviously gone in with that fake accent to try and, you know, be, I think it was from like Liverpool or something, to like make it more of it. It was a more like respectable accent, or like, you know, people were listened more when they have that accent, or the Irish accent, or whatever it was. And then Alexander, again, he was one that went out earlier in the game and then came back after winning a little challenge, and then people weren't sure whether he was actually a traitor or a faithful. So yeah, people had their eyes on him, but again, there wasn't enough like knowledge for them to go, actually he's a traitor, because they didn't know, and it turned out he wasn't. He just got unlucky of having that faithful card right at the end. Going down, we had another 3. So we had Freddie and Mina, both traitors. So Freddie was actually, again, a converted traitor. Really, really attractive boy. I think he is my favourite from this series, if not from all the series, but he's definitely going to be up there just because he's, you know, a nice looking guy. Very cute, very funny, you know, very jolly, very happy, but again, also was able to get his points of view across when he had a feeling of who he thought the traitors were. Mina, absolute fantastic traitor. Almost on top tier with Harry. Obviously she didn't win, but she was very good. She was very manipulative in a way that, you know, her game was very good. It's just that she got caught out, and, you know, Charlotte ended up controlling that game as a traitor. So, you know, it was either going to be Mina or Charlotte, and I just had a feeling. I was like, as soon as Charlotte gets converted to traitor, she's gonna rule the game, and she did. She didn't win, but she got to the top 5, and she played a damn well good game. And then obviously Joe, faithful, again, I think it was the intelligent people that were getting banished. I think the ones that were getting murdered in the evening were the ones that could speak too much, or they had information to pass on to the other contestants. The ones that were banished almost already said their piece, and they were already out there in the playing field of, you know, these people are dangerous, we need to get them out of the game quickly. So I think Joe was one of those that he had so much ammunition inside him to try and find out who these traitors were, and they were just getting rid of faithful and faithful and faithful. They had to get rid of him before he potentially set aim on one of them. And then you obviously had another 2 faithfuls, Leon and Lisa, go. I think this is when Leon, along with some of the others, were playing some sort of game, like a card game or something. I think only one of them or 2 of them survived, and I think it was Leon and Alex that survived. Yeah, I think in terms of the 2 of them, yeah, Leon played a very good game. Lisa was okay, you know, she was the priest, she was the lovely, you know, one that brought all the merry and happiness and stuff to breakfast, and they thought, you know, she can never be a traitor, and obviously they were all sad when she got murdered. You then had a few other faithful, so Alex and Anna. Alex, I don't think he did anything for me. Like, if anything, he was quite annoying. Like, I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but he seemed like a bit of an extra, just kind of a bit of an added part. But, you know, I didn't really. He did speak up a little bit at the round table, and that's when I was like, yeah, go on, Alex, you've got this, bro. But I didn't think he was going to last very long. Same with Anna. I think she was good when she needed to be, but then obviously when she got framed as being potentially a traitor, and then everyone went on the thing of, you know, Anna's a traitor, get her out, that was a bit personal, I think, yeah. They kind of just went at her and dug her, and she knew she wasn't a traitor, but by that point, you know, they'd already pointed the finger at her, so she was done for. And then Linda, very bad traitor. She was hilarious, she was very funny. It's just, you know, when Claudia did the tapping on the shoulder and she went, traitors, and then you just see Linda look up at Claudia. I was like, oh my goodness. I noticed it watching the TV. Imagine being in the room. Jake straight away was like, hang on, Linda, why did you look at Claudia when she said traitors as if like you've just been summoned? So yeah, very funny lady, but not a very good traitor. And then you had Fozia and Dan. I really, really liked Dan. I think he was quite funny, very sassy, also quite hot. And then yeah, with Fozia, yeah, she was murdered in that game, the survival game or whatever it was called. And yeah, she was a faithful, but you know, she just got unlucky basically in the card game, so she was out, and then Leon ended up going through. And then you had Livy, Tyler and Kazim, all 3 faithfuls. Again, I think the young ones in this series were trying to create a little group, so you kind of had Livy, you had Jake, you had Tyler, you had Freddie. I think Kazim was kind of in with that group, but you were kind of having all the young ones kind of get together, and every so often as one of them went, it was like, okay, well the next one's going to be a traitor, the next one's going to be a traitor. So I think all 3 of them lost their place just purely because there were so many of them in that group. Numbers wise, it wouldn't have made sense for them all to be faithful, and in the end they actually all were. And then you had Jack and Maya. Jack, he was one of the first 3 out of the show, so I think him, Fozia and Alexander were the 3 that stepped off of the train. So right at the beginning, one person from each carriage had to get out. They were the 3 that got out, and then obviously the 3 of them came back. Jack didn't last much longer. and then neither did Fozia, and then obviously Alexander was a faithful, who they thought potentially could have been a traitor. So I remember that completely. But yeah, Jack didn't have much airtime. He was literally in the first episode for about 5 minutes, and then a few episodes later on, he then came back and wasn't saved by the other contestants, so he was basically out of the game twice. Maya, one of the two sisters, she was the faithful. Again, had a good game plan of, you know, her and her sister worked together, but then she also doubted her sister, and, you know, it was revealed eventually after the show had finished that the two of them actually wanted to get together and work together, faithful or traitor, whatever, but one of them get to know one half of the cast, and then the other one to get to know the other half, and then they kind of work it out there. But yeah, that didn't work out in the end, and I think they took out Maya's sister Armani first, and then it was Maya that soon followed after. So here was the other traitor, Armani, so that's Maya's sister, and Ellen the faithful, who also had an Irish accent, so she got on quite well with Charlotte, hence Charlotte's fake Irish accent, actually from London, and then Ellen, so they had that little bond. And then again, Armani was an okay traitor. She was very vocal, very loud. I think Linda was kind of telling her to quieten down, you know, stop being so loud. I think Charlotte said the same thing, or somebody else said the same thing about, you know, I think it was Mina. It was almost like, yeah, stop being so loud, stop being too vocal, because you're going to expose yourself as being a traitor. And then, yeah, you had your first three right at the beginning of the series: Keith, Nathan, faithful, all three of them. Keith, Nathan and Yin, all faithfuls, and they obviously all got murdered as well. So yeah, Yin was the first one to be murdered again. I think people probably just saw her as being very smart. I think the first person she spoke to was actually a traitor, and they just said straight away, this woman's smart, like, get her out of the game. So she lost her place within seconds. Nathan was quite fit as well, so, you know, it was a bit sad to see him be the first person banished from the round table, but, you know, people didn't really know who people were in this game at this point. It was just a matter of names, getting to know people and how people were acting. And then Keith, again, just an older bloke who, you know, just lost his place in the game. So 25 in Series 3, 22 in Series 2 and 22 in Series 1 means that there are 67 people in the game, I think. So 22 plus 22 plus 25, 69 people. So we're 69 people in the Traitors, Series 1, 2 and 3 collectively. So what I'm going to do is have a little think, get them in order from my number 1 to my number 69, and then do a countdown from 69 to one of my favourite contestants. So I'm going to go off camera now, I'm going to have a little think, cool down, because it is very, very warm. I'm just trying not to sweat, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes for my part 2. Okay, I will see you in a bit. So, welcome back to the video. So, it's been about an hour now. I've had dinner, went to the toilet, and I've now ranked all 69 players. So, Series 1, there was 22 contestants. Series 2, there was 22 contestants. And Series 3, there was 25 contestants, which means 69 people overall. So, I've just heard noises outside. I thought it was something outside. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I've got them in my computer in sections. So I'm just going to go through them one section at a time. So the first lot of people that I'm going to rank are from kind of the worst player, so from 69th place up until 41st. So with this mix of contestants, it's not necessarily that they had bad gameplay. It could also be people who didn't really have a chance to play, people that were, you know, out of the game straight away, people that were very quiet and didn't get to see anything from them. So none of these people are bad people. I think all 69 people were incredible. I think obviously we saw a lot of them as opposed to not seeing anything of some of them. But I think all 69 of the contestants either played a good game, could have played a good game, or did play a good game. So yeah, anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the first lot, so from 69 down to 41. Like I said, most of them are quite similar in terms of, you know, the ones that didn't really get to play much of a game. So we're going to start with the first 9. So I've done 69th place is Aubrey, so he's a faithful from Series 2. 68th is John, a faithful from Series 1. 67 Keith, faithful Series 3. 66 Meg, faithful Series 2. 65 Tracy, faithful Series 2. 64th Anthony, faithful Series 2. 63 Andrea, faithful Series 1. 62 Nikki, faithful Series 1, and Sonia at 61st, she was a faithful from Series 2. So if we just take a look at those 9 people, I guess none of their gameplay was the same. Most of them didn't really have a gameplay. I think the only one that actually got past the first however many murders was Meg. I think she survived about 3 or 4 of her on her series, but I think the rest of them were either the first one out, the second one out, or within the first few episodes that you didn't really get to see enough of them in order to be able to make a judgment about them. Again, I think Nikki was quite cute, quite lovely. I think she was kind of like a motherly figure, but again, she wasn't out of her shell enough to be able to, you know, start being vocal. She just kind of was gone before she was able to, you know, come out of her shell. So yeah, that was a shame for her. I think she was kind of a bit of a sad one to have gone. And then if we go from 60th down to 41, so again, this is a handful of different people. So actually, let's go from 60 to 50. So the next 10. So at 60th, we have Claire, Faithful Series 1. 59th was Aisha, Faithful Series 1. 58th was Amos, a Faithful Series 1. 57th was Kyra, Faithful Series 2. 56, Ryan, Faithful Series 1. 55, Ivan, Faithful Series 1. 54, Faye, Faithful Series 1. 53, Tom was a Faithful from Series 1. 52, Jack, a Faithful from Series 3. 51, Yin, Faithful Series 3. And then at 50th we had Linda, Series 3, Traitor. So I think with that handful, again, the only few that kind of stick out there were people like Ivan. So he was a little bit more vocal. He did, you know, raise his points to the table a few times, but it just wasn't either loud enough or strong enough for people to actually listen to him. Again, Faye, she spoke up a little bit. With Tom, obviously he was in that love couple with Alex. So, you know, the fact that, you know, he eventually spilled out that it was his girlfriend, I think was not necessarily a game changer, but it was just something of an addition to the game to make people then question whether he was actually a Faithful or not. Again, Jack, he had 2 chances to come back to the game. First time he left the carriage, and then the second time the contestants didn't actually fight for him to come back into the game. So he was a bit of an unfortunate one. Similar to Yin, again, she was the first one out to be murdered in Series 3, so you didn't really see much of her. I think it's just as soon as she started talking to someone who I think it was Linda, who's actually a traitor, she's like, oh, I've got a degree in whatever. Because she sounded smart, they took her out straight away. So that was just unfortunate for her. And then if we go down from 49 to 41, so we have Andrew, Series 2 Traitor, Meryl, Series 1 Faithful, Evie, Series 2 Faithful, Ellen, Series 3 Faithful, Matt, Series 1 Faithful, Imran, Series 1 Faithful, Nathan, Series 3 Faithful, Ash, Series 2 Traitor, Charlie, Series 2 Faithful, and at 40th we had Lisa, who was a Series 3 Faithful. So they were the next 10. Again, well, they were the next 9 actually, but yeah, again, Andrew, he was a converted traitor, so he just didn't, you know, fulfill his duty of being a traitor. Meryl, I think I put her so low just because I know she won the first series with Hannah and Aaron, but it was just she didn't really have much of a game plan. She was always wrong when it came to who the traitors were. Again, I think she just kind of slid through and she had enough people that didn't think she was a traitor for her to obviously win. Ellen, she obviously had her, you know, cute accent, which people liked, but then eventually that just got the better of her. Nathan, I found him really attractive, and I also thought that, you know, he did come across really well and quite confident. Again, he just wasn't able to vocalise those thoughts enough. Ash, the traitor from Series 2, she did alright. She wasn't awful, it's just that, you know, she didn't really have much of a game plan, and, you know, there was other people that started taking other people out, and I think she was the first or the second traitor to get taken out of the game. And then Lisa, again, you know, we saw her in Series 3, the nice relaxing vicar or whatever she was, you know, bring peace to the team. And then as we come down into the 30s, so 39th we had Alex, who was the Series 1 Faithful, so she was the other couple, the other half of Tom and Alex. 38th was Maya, Series 3 Faithful, one of the 2 sisters. 37th was Brian, Faithful Series 2. 36th was Leon, Faithful Series 3. 35th was Alex, Faithful from Series 3. 34th was Livy, she was a Faithful from Series 3. 33rd was Charlotte, Faithful from Series 2. 32nd was Tyler, Faithful Series 3. 31st was Diane, a Faithful from Series 2. And 30th was Kieran, a Series 1 Traitor. So again, with that next lot, again, like I said, you had Alex, one of the couple. You had Maya, one of the sisters. Alex, the male Faithful from Series 3, again, like I said before, he didn't really speak up much. He wasn't able to showcase his game much, but then he just, found his voice and he was vocal a little bit. But I think by that point, people didn't really take any notice of him. Charlotte as well from Series 2. Again, not really much of a game plan, but again, she was someone that kind of went from being quiet to then, speaking up about who she thought the traitor was, to then people accusing her of being a traitor. Livy, every so often she kind of had her 2 pence of information. Diane, she was a faithful, and she had to prove to people that she was a faithful. I think she was one of the older ones in her year as well. And then again, Kieran, he was a converted traitor, so having gone from faithful to traitor to then actually making it to the top 5, I think that was an incredible journey that he had in the game as well. And then we come into the 20s, so if I do the next 9, so we see who was 21st to 29th. So 29th was Miles, a traitor from Series 2. 28th was Kazim, a faithful from Series 3. 27th, Fozia, faithful from Series 3. 26th, Johnny, faithful from Series 2. 25th, Ross, a traitor from Series 2. 24th was Jazz, faithful from Series 2. 23rd, Armani, traitor from Series 3. 22nd, Alyssa, traitor from Series 1. 21st, Amanda, traitor from Series 1. And the 20th was Leanne, the Series 3 faithful, and also joint winner alongside Jake. So yeah, there was about 3 or 4 converted traitors in that little list. So you obviously had Miles, Ross, Alyssa, and you had Armani and Amanda, who were traitors from the beginning. But there's 5 traitors that kind of, they're in the 20s in terms of, their game plan was alright. It wasn't awful, but it also wasn't fantastic. Yeah, Miles, converted traitor. Again, he was taken out by Paul. Paul was then taken out by Harry, and then Harry ended up going on to win the series. You had Armani, like I said, she was good. She was just a little bit too loud. Amanda, again, very direct, but again, she kind of wasn't able to protect herself. And then Leanne the Faithful, like I said, she obviously won her series because, not only did she hide her military background, but she also hid the fact that she had a partner and kids, and also the fact that she was stronger than she actually was. She went in as if this, gorgeous looking blonde wearing a pink dress, making people think that she was stupid. She was probably the smartest one then in there, which is why she obviously got to the end. So then we have our top 19 contestants. So we'll do the next 5. So 19th we had Molly. She was the faithful from Series 2. She was the runner-up to Harry. 18th was Anna. So she was the faithful from Series 3. 17th was Maddie, faithful from Series 1. 16th was Theo, faithful from Series 1. And 15th was Jasmine, faithful from Series 2. So 5 faithfuls here. Again, Molly was the runner-up to Harry, only because he was the traitor that took all the money. Anna, obviously the only part I didn't like about her kind of gameplay is that when they all attacked her, thinking that she was a traitor, and she literally had no way out, and that was it. Once they'd had their eyes on her, didn't matter whether people believed it or not, that was the majority kind of ideology within that point, and then that's why she lost. So again, I kind of felt bad for her. Maddie, very loud, but she was funny. I think she was quite funny. And then Theo and Jasmine, again, both in different series, but both vocal when they needed to be. Just I don't think strong enough, and I think because they're both quite young as well, they weren't really listened to, and they were just kind of floating through. And then eventually, the traitors just realised, let's just get rid of these 2 from the game in their separate series. 14th was Alexander, a faithful from Series 3. 13th, Dan, a faithful from Series 3. 12th, Joe, faithful from Series 3. So again, all 3 of those boys from that 3rd series. Again, Alexander was out of the game and then brought back. Dan and Joe looked like nice guys, and again, they had enough of a game plan, but again, it just wasn't listened to enough, and it turned out that they were right, but obviously they were out of the game before other people could, know the truth about the traitors, or who they thought the traitors were at that point in the game. So yeah, all 3 of them had a good gameplay, but Alexander was very lucky, but just very unfortunate that they thought he'd come back into the game as a traitor as opposed to a faithful. So for someone like me, I overanalyze everything, so I would need to tone that in completely, more or less just everything I want to say, just not say, and just be very just agreeing with people, or just be more of a person pleaser. Try and please the traitors, keep them on my side, and then hopefully me try and get rid of them before they get rid of me. They can kind of use me as ammunition to get somebody else out, kind of thing. Or they might end up recruiting me because they know I'm good. So yeah, they were the next 3 that are out. They're the next 3 that are on the list. In 11th place, we had Hannah. She was a faithful from Series 1. Again, I kind of think that she was good in the game, but she didn't really bring anything new. So she obviously was in the first series, the show had never been done before, but in terms of like some of the other characters, or some of the other players from the other series, they, you know, they had these, not ideas, but like, you know, in terms of working out who the traitor was, they had new ideas that they brought to the table. I think she kind of just jumped along on the other ideas. She still played a fantastic game. She was funny, you know, she was a laugh. She was good at some of the challenges and, you know, brought a lot of money into the prize pot. So that's why she's in my top 11. But yeah, she could have been that little bit higher if she would have, you know, I don't know what she could have done really. I think she played a really, really good game. You know, she was good. I just think, yeah, other people just did that little bit extra within their series. So yeah, in 10th place you had Freddie. So he was a Series 3 faithful converted to traitor. So yeah, that was a very interesting transition. Seeing him as, you know, a faithful, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's a nice guy, but it's okay, he'll probably get knocked out soon. And then I can actually, you know, focus on the other people. But it ended up being a traitor recruiting a faithful to a traitor, and then that traitor then recruiting somebody else. It was just a whole, Mina recruiting Charlotte was a mistake for Mina because that put her at fault, but then obviously Charlotte recruiting Freddie was kind of just to save Charlotte's back. She didn't really care about having Freddie on side, she was going to sideline him anyway, but yeah, she basically recruited him. So yeah, I think he was just a little bit lost. I think throughout the whole game he was just lost, but he looked fantastic, you know, looks like a model, politics student, so he's not stupid. So, you know, I put him in the top 10 because, yeah, average game plan, but he was, again, funny, had charisma, you know, very athletic, so that's why I put him there. But I know he's got a girlfriend, so that ain't gonna happen. In 9th place, we had Aaron, so he was a faithful from Series 1, so he did win alongside Hannah and Meryl, but I think, again, he just kind of flowed through, but then he has gone on to do some amazing things. He's been on other shows, he was on Mastermind, he was on Love Island USA, so that I didn't expect. So, you know, he's gone on to do some actual great things, and he's got so many thousands of followers now. So, yeah, good looking guy. He's been on a few more shows, so his platform will just continue to grow, to grow, to grow. Who knows, he could be on something else in the years to come. But I think his career has now been set. The fact that he won the first series of a show that's only almost at that time had only just come out, and then also got scouted for different shows almost straight away. Yeah, I think he's got a career set for life, whether he's in the industry, in the public eye, or whether he, you know, just retires tomorrow. I think he'll be all right. In 8th place is Paul, so he was a traitor from Series 2, the redhead. So I think he was the one that took out Miles. The fact that he was like, you know, traitors have to get rid of traitors. We need to take people down. Doesn't matter who they are, really. I think the episode later, he then was obviously taken out by another traitor. I think that might have been Wilfred, actually. But yeah, Paul still had a good plan. He still, I think at this point you've got to remember, the show was new. No one knew who was targeting who or who wanted to get who out. I think at that point Paul just made a decision. Let's get the traitor out, not knowing that that was going to then fall back on himself. And then speaking of, and it wasn't Wilfred then, because Wilfred was in Series 1, so it wasn't Wilfred, it was somebody else. But yeah, in 7th is actually Wilfred from Series 1. I think he had that similar plan to Paul in the first series, traitor taking out traitor. Ash was in Series 2, so yeah, I think Paul might have taken out Ash potentially, and then somebody took out Paul, so I'm not really sure, but it was a bit of a complicated first 2 years of the series. But yeah, so I think that was it. It was Paul, Ash, Miles, they were in one series together, and then obviously you had like Harry, Wilfred, Kieran, they were all in one series together as traitors as well. In 6th place was Francesca, so she's a faithful from Series 3. She's the one that aligned very quickly with Leanne, you know, saying like, oh, we're both mothers, we've both got to do this for our family and whatever. Leanne just didn't believe it, otherwise Francesca could have been in that like 3 tie winners. But yeah, they played an amazing game. She got rid of a lot of competition, and you know, she worked out who she should and shouldn't be friends with, and stirring the pot and stuff like that, and listening to lots of conversations, not necessarily talking, but just listening and seeing who was around. In 5th, I actually put Zach, so he was a faithful from Series 2. I think similarly to Dan, similarly to Joe, similarly to, you know, people like that, he was very easily able to read people, and he wasn't afraid to vocalise that. So, you know, although he didn't win, he didn't get anywhere near the final, the fact that he was just vocal, you know, people were coming at him and he was just fighting back with his words. Yeah, very powerful man, very strong minded, you know. He's also really hot as well. So I think that's the thing with these shows, you're going to get people that look great, and they're usually the ones that I root for, and they're usually the ones that end up going out. So Zach, you could have done better for me. And then in 4th place, well, that's it. So there's no more season 1 people. None of them made it into the top 4. Actually, none of them made it into the top 7. Wilfred was my highest Series 1 contestant. So he was my favourite Series 1 contestant from Series 1. He was the traitor. So yeah, in 4th place. So Mina, a traitor from Series 3. Again, her game plan was insane. I think, you know, she played it very, very well as a traitor. It was not obvious at all that there was anything dodgy or anything mischievous coming from her. I just think the fact that when she recruited Charlotte, it could have either made her game 10 times stronger or 10 times weaker, and it just made it 10 times weaker without her knowing. You know, I think it was that thing of she trusted Charlotte so much, and she was like, yeah, Charlotte would never disown me or go against me or whatever. And then to camera, you just see Charlotte go, you know, she can trust me for now, but if I need to get rid of Mina from the game, then I'm going to, and that's obviously what Mina didn't get to see. So yeah, Mina was in 4th place just purely because she didn't double check what she was doing before she recruited Charlotte, and actually in the back of her mind also thinking, don't trust this person because anyone can get rid of anyone. So that's why she didn't make it to the top 3 in terms of my list. In 3rd place, we had Jake. So he was the faithful from Series 3. He obviously went on to win the show with Leanne and almost Francesca. So yeah, he is my top traitor. He's my top faithful from Series 3. So yeah, he's the top faithful from Series 3. So yeah, I just think he played a good game. And again, similarly to Zach, Joe, those type of characters, he was sussing people out very, very well, you know, working out who isn't a traitor. Straight away knew Linda was a traitor when she did the whole head turn thing, which is why she's ranked so low. But yeah, he played a very, very good game. In 2nd place is Charlotte. So she was the traitor from Series 3. Again, she's my highest ranked player from Series 3 as well. So yeah, she was my highest rated player from Series 3. So I'm glad she did enter the game. I'm glad she played the game so well. Not only was it the accent situation that she changed, she made out she was from Wales or whatever it was, and she's actually English, but just the fact that she 1-0'd Mina at her own game. And then at number 1, obviously my favourite contestant, probably the best player of the game, was Harry. So he was the traitor from Series 2, who also went on to win it, and he's my highest ranked player from Series 2. So yeah, if we go, my highest rated faithful from Series 1 was Hannah, and traitor from Series 1 was Wilfred. If we go Series 2, so my highest rated faithful from Series 2 was Zach, and my highest traitor from Series 2 was Harry. And then for Series 3, my highest rated faithful was Francesca, was Jake, and my highest rated traitor was Charlotte. So yeah, that is it in terms of my list. So I have them all here at the top: Harry, Charlotte, Jake, for example. I'm just going to click on the screen so you can see that a little bit clearer. But yeah, so that was it really. That is basically just in celebration, because obviously Series 4, the UK series, is coming out, and also the Traitors UK celebrities. You got the likes of Tom Daly, Nico Amalana, Kat Burns, Kate Garraway. You know, it's a whole mix of people that you just wouldn't put together in a game show. But you know, I think because the game show has blown up so much, obviously they're probably doing it for charity. You just get all the names that want to sign up for the first edition of something, like the first Big Brother, the first, they could be a celebrity Squid Games, but the first of something people want to get involved in because it's the one that you remember. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's not too long, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know down below, who did you like, who did you not like, whose game plan would you try, whose game plan would you avoid, and are you looking forward to the first series of Celebrity Traitors, and what type of people would you want to see in the Traitors UK Series 4, the normal non-celebrity edition. So yeah, that is it from me. I will be back soon when Claudia reveals who the first traitors are in Series 4 UK non-celebrity and Celebrity Traitors UK Series 1. But until then, thank you for watching, and always stay faithful. Have a lovely evening wherever you are. Thank you very much. Goodbye.